Hello, everybody. My name is D. Wilmore. I'm the managing broker and head of agent development and brokerage for Radius. Glad to have you all here. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about scripts and dialogues, how to handle the objections that you receive from your clients, understanding the motivation of a potential seller, and successfully closing a buyer. So let's jump right in, okay? So all of you know that working with a buyer and seller can be challenging, particularly when we're not sure of the right words to say or what we want to say. So we're going to start off by understanding scripts and dialogues and how they can affect what your actual presentation is with the client base that you're trying to invite into working with you. Okay. So as we work with our customers, it's very important that we establish our scripts and dialogues or the things that we want to say right off the bat. The reason for that is we don't want to be fumbling with what to say when we're asked a question or we're trying to draw some reasonable information so that we can have a meaningful dialogue. We want to be able to engage them in a way that works for them. So when we talk about scripts and dialogues, Winston Churchill, who at one point was the Prime Minister of England, had a great quote, which is, "Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm." What does that mean exactly? I think what he was trying to say is in order to create success, you have to have failure. Now, how does that relate to scripts and dialogues? Well, with scripts and dialogues, anytime we engage another person, we're bound to run into failure. Our words don't always lift us up in the way that we hope we will. And when we're talking about working with a person in a sales process, we have multiple failures. In other words, sales is a business of rejection. We get far more no's than we get yeses, but we can minimize the amount of no's that we receive if we start to have an understanding of the content or the words that we want to say and use with our customer base. Okay. So what's on our agenda for today? So our learning objectives we'll be introducing sales language to you. We'll be converting what's called our fear energy. Most of us have that fear energy. Public speaking is a very overwhelming process. So when we're meeting somebody for the first time, whether it's an audience of 1 or 100, we're going to have nerves that come into play. So we'll talk about converting our fear energy. We'll also talk about the introduction to the call. What do we want to say? How do we reverse the objection? Objection is another one of those things that's part of a sales process. We'll talk about leading questions, assuming the close, and we'll end finally with the 23 most powerful 2-letter words. Okay. So that ultimate outcome will look like this. We'll know what to say and when to say it. We'll explore objection handling and feel much more comfortable with that. We'll know how to close the deal, and we'll begin to implement processes of role playing. Okay, so let's talk about introduction to sales language. Realize the excitement. In it, anytime you're trying to influence or persuade someone to your point of view or your idea, there has to be a certain amount of energy that's conveyed through this process. That's called realizing the excitement. If we ourselves are lackluster and we don't have energy about a particular product or service, the likelihood of that customer having energy around that product or service is relatively small. So realize the excitement. What does that mean? Effective selling should be a fun experience, not a chore. If you're not enjoying what you're doing when you're speaking with another person about your product or service, you may want to reevaluate, is this what I need to do with my life, with my career? So effective selling should be a fun experience, not a chore. You should be able to interplay with your customer in a fun way. Have fun with that. Let them have fun with you. Okay? Implementing your new ideas and concepts should inspire confidence for you. If you're not excited, if you're not realizing new plateaus every time you introduce an idea or a concept to your customer, you may need to reevaluate how your presentation looks for that customer. You should be so excited that they're excited just because you're excited. Okay. Success or failure is a matter of following guidelines and systems, right? Just like we're talking about scripts and dialogues, that's a system, that's a guideline. We have reference points of speech in order to share with another person. So the more prepared we are, the more successful our outcome is likely to be. And scripts and dialogues is preparation, right? If you think of your favorite movie or your favorite actor or actress, or stage play, those folks are well rehearsed. Even musicians, music is language. And that music that you hear is well practiced, right? So, in other words, that language or that musical speech is rehearsed. An actor, their dialogue that you see in a movie or a television program, that's well rehearsed. You are that same person. You need to be well rehearsed in order to realize success and not failure. So, following systems and guidelines. And the old adage, success breeds success. The more opportunities that we have to create a win, the more we're going to want to have wins of opportunity, right? So, success breeds success. Make sure you're adjusting your attitude. When we're going into it already knowing that we're probably not going to be successful, or that the anticipation that they're going to turn us down, the likelihood of us bleeding that into our presentation becomes even more great. So adjust your attitude. How do we do that? Attitude is how the world sees you. So when you're down in the dumps, or when you're fearful, or when you're hesitant, the world is going to pick up those little cues. And by the way, it's not just your verbal cues, it's your nonverbal cues. It's your facial expressions. It's your body posture. It's your body language. It's the way you hold your hands or your arms. Are you defensive? Are you fearful? All of those little cues are easily told. Okay. And that can influence how your sales language is communicated. Make sure your attitude is in alignment with your goals. And just like we talked about realizing the excitement, are you super excited to meet that customer? Are you listening empathically and understanding what they're asking you before you respond? Or is your attitude one that's negative? You're already assuming that they're going to tell you no, right? Is it in alignment with your goals? If you set out today to have one appointment so that you can get one brand new client, is your language adjusted to where that client will actually want to work with you? So make sure your attitude is in alignment with your goals. See the positive in everything. People, let me tell you, it's very easy to be negative about a lot of things in our world, in our day-to-day process. And you can also see the good in just about everything. Even when there's a series of failures, the good in that is it's a learning opportunity. It's a succession of learning opportunities. You begin to know what not to do in order to be successful in the near term and subsequently in the long term. So adjust your attitude. Your attitude is how the world sees you. Make sure your attitude is in alignment with your goals, and see the positive in everything, guys. Look at anything that you do, no matter how negative it may appear on the surface, and find the value in that. Okay? And know when to blow your own horn. What does that mean? It's okay to boast about the things that you've done and that you've done well. People like to hear and share in the accomplishments of another person. And certainly when they're wanting to engage you from a product or service standpoint. So know when to blow your own horn. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've sold several homes in this neighborhood. I'm confident that I can sell your home for at least for list price or better, right? Know when to blow your own horn. It's okay to brag about yourself sometime. Just have some humility about how you do it. Okay? Avoid the activity that takes more energy than the activity itself. Do you people know what I mean by that? Sometimes it's procrastination, avoiding the activity. When we start to procrastinate, or we begin the early stages of procrastination, it all begins with thought. We start to think about the activity that we're going to do. And as we're thinking about the activity that we're going to do or that we want to do, then we start to put in different variables. We start to role play in our own head. We start to say, well, they're probably not going to want to talk to me anyway because it's around dinner time. And I know that if it were me, I wouldn't want somebody to knock on my door around dinner time, or it's too early. They're probably not up yet. You see what I mean? You see where I'm going with that? Right? We're starting to put a lot of energy and effort into the thought of not doing the thing versus just getting out, getting in the car, going to the neighborhood you're going to door knock, or going into your office, having your list of folks that you want to call and reach out to, and beginning the activity. So as we talk about our attitude, don't think that the event is going to be negative. Don't put a lot of energy into that. Put the activity first. The procrastination cycle is easy to jump into. So we want to stay away from that. We want to avoid that. Okay? So I talked earlier about fear energy. What is fear energy and how do we convert it? Everything that I just described when we talk about the process of procrastination is all about assuming that you're going to be rejected. Think about the first time in your life when you were rejected. It could have been asking a friend to come and play baseball with you, or, to do something fun with you, and they said no. For whatever reason, we internalized that and we took that as rejection. And that rejection has many different faces. They don't like me. They think I'm ugly. Maybe I'm not fun. Whatever it meant for you. In life, rejection happens. Rejection is a day-to-day occurrence. Without rejection, we would have no acceptance, right? It's a yin and yang. So first and foremost, when we talk about converting fear energy, is to accept that rejection happens. Rejection's going to happen. In the space in real estate, if everybody we talked to said yes every single time, we would have a business that was fat and rich and we'd never have to work again, right? Because we'd basically be order takers. But there's a reason why there's a sales component associated with your license. And it's not that we're selling, we're actually helping people make an informed decision. Okay, so rejection happens. Try what's called creative imagery. Just as we were talking about you visualizing when you're procrastinating, you're already visualizing the no. Try to visualize the success that happens. Visualize the yes rather than the no. Some people call it meditation. Some people use affirmations, but start to look at the positive outcome. So if you're going to get into your head or use creative imagery, start to think about, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to meet this person, and this person is going to share what their wants and needs are with me, and I'm going to be so well rehearsed that they're going to want to work with me. Visualize your success. Always visualize your success. Keep appointments with yourself. Right? If you scheduled a date on your calendar to call or visit a prospective client, keep that date. Again, the fear in us takes over. And as we get closer and closer to meeting that stranger that we have no relationship with, or we're nearing the possibility of rejection, we tend to want to reschedule or to cancel or to create excuses as to why we're not going to move forward with the activity that we set in advance. Keep that date, okay? Keep that date. It's important for the growth of your business and for personal growth that you stay aligned with the goals that you set for yourself. And that includes keeping any and all appointments, okay? Do not give someone else your power. That's all fear is giving someone else your power. You're letting someone else have control over you because you're allowing whatever they're giving you to be fearful for you. And this is before you've ever even spoken with them. If they reject you, so what? There are plenty of other people who will want to use your product or service. Okay, so don't give away your power. That's going to keep that fear energy from rising and taking over everything that you do from a day to day. Okay, time spent in fear is time being controlled from somebody you haven't met yet. Don't let that happen. Someone else can't control you. You haven't met them. If they tell you no, help to convert them to a yes. Maybe that no is all about you haven't given them enough information to make an informed decision. So, time spent in fear is time spent controlled by someone else that you haven't met yet. Avoid that at all costs. Accept the fact that you are in control of your own outcome, right? Again, earlier we talked about create excitement right off the bat. Is, if you're excited and you like what you do, you're going to have lots of successes. People, this is a business to where you can have lots and lots of fun while you're enriching yourself, both income, personally, and professionally. Okay. So accept that you're in control of that. You're in control of that outcome. You have to push through the hard stuff in order to see the easy roads. Okay. Make sure your vision is strong enough to support your goals. The vision isn't always about money. The vision could be about financial freedom to give you the ability to travel, or to have less restrictions on how you take care of your family, or whatever the vision may be for you. But you have to make sure that your goals are lofty enough and that your vision is strong enough to support those goals. Okay. It shouldn't be as minuscule as I want to make, $20,000 this year. Sure, that's an entry level plateau, but you've invested this much time in yourself to grow your career, to make adjustments so that your life can start to see some more positive benefits and changes. Make sure that you're aligned with what those things are. Make sure your vision is strong enough to support your goals. And when in doubt, use a lifeline, phone a friend, right? Hey, I'm struggling today. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. I need to go out and prospect, but I'm not sure how to do that. I'm feeling very uncomfortable, or I'm feeling very overwhelmed, right? Your friend can talk you through it. It's called accountability. That accountability is necessary for us to get through each and every day, each and every week. It's very difficult for us to hold ourselves accountable because, just like that procrastination cycle, it's easy for us to take ourselves off the hook. Okay. Get someone that you know and trust who will hold you accountable so that you stay true to your goal, so that you keep the appointments that you've made with yourself, so that you can overcome your fear energy. Okay. And nervousness inhibits your ability to learn. When we role play, we're creating healthy habits. And so when we're talking about scripts and dialogues, we need to be rehearsing with friends and family, our peers, our colleagues, rehearsing in a mirror if those folks aren't available to us. Because the more that we can see what our facial structure looks like, or our affect, or our body language and posture, or the intonation of the words that come out of our mouth when we're wanting to influence or help a person decide on our product and services, those are things we have to rehearse. Just like, remember, we talked about actors and actresses, how those folks practice and rehearse to where they can emote in a way that they have a believable approach to what they're delivering. That's what you're needing to do every single day. Okay. So when you're nervous about doing those things, you're not able to learn from it. You sometimes get paralyzed. And if we're talking about converting fear energy, we're wanting to move away from that. So create healthy habits, practice every day, right? It only takes a few minutes. 5 minutes a day will make you an expert in scripts and dialogues, but you have to practice. Embrace the fact that you're in the business that relies on numbers. Commit your year for more yeses than no's, right? If you start to, again, visualize the amount of yeses that you need to get to your goals, that's part of your vision. We're starting to visualize what our successes need to look like and how many successes per week, per month, per year that we need in order to achieve our goals, right? Commit to more yeses than nos. And the only way we can commit is to practice, is to be well prepared. If you think that customers don't understand that you're not well prepared, you're kidding yourself. Okay, so make sure you're well prepared. Practice your scripts and dialogues every day. I can't stress that enough. Every single day, right? You don't have to have the perfect script, but you do have to have a format, a syntax to where it's reliable. One person doesn't know that you said the exact same thing to the last person. Okay. The more we're able to communicate in a way that's effective, the better the response we're going to get from the people that we're presenting to. Okay. Make sense, everyone? All right, moving forward. So when we're introducing ourselves to the call, again, just like we were talking about in terms of converting fear energy, we want to define the outcome of that call event in advance. I'm calling this person today because I'd like an appointment with them this afternoon. So define that outcome in advance. It's not that you're calling just to call someone. You're calling someone with a specific purpose. And that specific purpose is not for them to just pick up the phone. That specific purpose is for you to be able to get in front of them so that you can have a meaningful discussion about your product and your service. Okay. So identify your goal prior to the call, define that outcome in advance, keep it short and to the point. If you think about a call like dating, right? Sometimes when we're interested in someone, we're keeping things short and to the point. Hey, you're an interesting person. I'd like to get to know you. Do you mind if we go out and have a coffee, a breakfast, a lunch, a drink, dinner, whatever it is, right? We're keeping it short and to the point. That's essentially the introduction to a call. A call isn't to sell your product or service. It's to ask, hey, I'd love an opportunity to get in front of you so that you can get to know me and I can get to know you. That's like that process of dating. And the know you part for you in this case is your product and service and how you could be of benefit to them and how they could benefit from you. That's that bilateral, that's that mutuality. Okay. Commit to that appointment. If you're committed to making calls so that the outcome will be that you have an appointment for today, commit to that appointment. Again, we're so readily able to take ourselves off of that appointment train because that fear starts to creep in. Remember, our goal is to always convert that fear energy. So I've created something called WWTI. And what does that stand for? So when we're developing or defining the initial process of scripting to where we're having a positive outcome, there's what's called WWW.TI. Who I am, why I'm calling, what I plan to do for you, the time I plan to do it, and how am I going to involve you. WWW.TI. Who I am, why am I calling, what I plan to do, the time I plan to do it, and how am I going to involve you. A good example would be, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. My name is D. Wilmore. The reason I'm calling, that's the who, and now the introduction to the why. The reason I'm calling is I noticed that 1234 Main Street just came on the market. I'm going to be in the area this afternoon, and I'd like to stop in and discuss with you what your home may look like if it were on the market today. I know you might not be ready to sell. Now, that's the introduction to the what. I know you might not be ready to sell, but since I'll be in the neighborhood anyway, I'll stop in at 4 p.m. Now, that's the time. And what I'd like you to do, since I'll evaluate the entire house, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is if you could pull the trash cans away from the side of the house or make sure the back gate's open or whatever it is that you want them to do. Now that's how I'm going to involve you. Statistically, the more we're able to involve someone in a process, the more likely they are to keep that appointment. When you give someone a task, they now have a behavioral cue that involves them. So who I am, why, who am I, why am I calling, what I plan to do, at the time I plan to do it, and how I'm going to involve you. WW.TI. Okay. So again, we talk about rejection, and what is that rejection really? That rejection is what's called an objection. And most objections are irrational. Objections are all about a person not having enough information in order to make an informed decision. That's that answer and ask process, right? So objections, as I said, are 100% irrational. If we listen to what they're actually presenting to us, then it's easy to find the true objection. Once we found the true objection, it allows us to identify any remaining objections that may occur for them. An example would be, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what I hear you saying is that you want to make $900,000 in order to put your home on the market. Is that right? Well, is there anything else that would prevent you from listing your home with me today, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Right? So I've identified what they've said is their real problem is money. They want to get the right price. And I asked them directly, is there anything else that would prevent them from listing their home? That way they can present anything else that remaining. We can get that all off the table and move the thing forward. I can't stress enough, objections are 100% irrational. There's not one single objection that can be presented that has a basis of reality to it. Okay? Accept the objection and the person, right? There's no judgment around whatever they're objecting to. Let's accept the objection and the person. The reason we do that is the more that we can accept what their validity is, because we're acknowledging that they have fear in the process, just like you have fear in the process. So what they're actually expressing is fear of change, fear of commitment, fear to move forward in terms of what this process looks like. So the more we can accept that person, the more that person feels engaged with you because they feel heard, they feel validated, okay? We're going to commit with them to the remedy of the objection, and that'll provide a commitment for them to want to move forward with you. Again, this ties in with that fear energy and converting that fear energy. If we can understand the person that we're dealing with, then they can understand more effectively our product and our service. Use explicit language in order to execute the commitment. Just like as I did, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if there are no other objections, is there anything that would prevent you from listing with me today? Okay. Be very direct, be very succinct. Understand the work. There is real work in overcoming objections, right? They're not just simply, oh, that's silly, let's move on, right? They can be resolved. And once they're resolved, you know that you can move forward with the sale, right? We're influencers. We help to persuade. We don't force people to buy or sell, but we help them to make the right decision based on what they want to do. And they contacted you in the first place. So it's clear that they had an idea or a want or a notion to do something. You're helping them by helping them make informed decisions. You're giving them enough information to not only decide on you, but to decide to go through with the process. So persuading your way through an objection means working to change the way they view the objections. You can wear them down and, so that the objection is no longer valid in their eyes. You can also change the way they view them in a more positive manner to where they get that aha moment, that aha experience, like, oh, I understand what you're saying. A lot of times when people are giving you objections, they're just simply parroting back things that they've heard over time. Most home buyers are unsophisticated. They're new to a process. And same with home sellers. They may have transacted a deal when they first bought, but they haven't done anything in an awful long time. So people have information from multiple sources, and they have difficulty compiling that data to where it makes sense. That's where your job comes into play. Okay. Concede your way through. Sometimes it's okay to say, Mr. and Miss Seller, I understand, right? But if we were able to do this, can I get that commitment? If they object to price, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if I were able to get it lower, or Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if I were able to get it lower, would you want to purchase, right? There's always a way we can concede to where they feel like they're being heard, and that their needs are met. And at the end of the day, it's a win-win scenario. Okay. Ask leading questions. I'm sure you've heard that a million times. Questions that never fail. Can you tell me a little bit more about your real estate goals, right? Find out what they're about. Get them talking. They need to do more talking than you do. But we're convinced as real estate professionals that we need to do all the talking. Okay. Can I get a little bit more about your real estate goals? Can you tell me a little bit more? Why are you thinking about buying a new home now, right? Why now? That helps them to isolate and really identify their goal, because I want to have a home for my family. that helps to mitigate things like high interest rates and price increases, things like that, because the goal is they want the service or they want the product for a specific reason. So those other things don't really matter because we're talking about a long-term process versus a short-term process. So if interest rates are 6%, so be it. They're 6%. But my goal is for me to have a spot for my family to grow. And we know that homes also always appreciate. So, there's positives in that. How soon do you want to be in your new home? Right? Another very defining question. If we found your perfect home, is there anything preventing you from purchasing right now? Again, that explicit language, that discovery of, are there objections that would prevent you from doing anything with me today? And by the way, that's helping to remove any of those rejection opportunities that are going to be thrown at you. Okay? What needs to happen today to make our meeting worth your time? That again is an opportunity that allows them to talk and say, well, look, I don't want you to waste my time, or I want this, or I want to see this outcome. Because what a consumer is really wanting from you, or someone in your customer base, is they're wanting to know that you're the person that can deliver the thing that they're wanting to have. Okay? So what needs to happen today to make our meeting worth your time? How should we move forward after today? You're asking them permission, and you're also assuming that you'll be working together. So after this meeting today, how would you and I like to work together? And you're asking them to tell you. Now that's already getting them towards commitment language. And that's what we want, right? Okay, what improvements would you make if we purchased your home today? So now you're helping them to dream. You're helping them to visualize that if they were to purchase this home, and how would they see themselves in this home? You're letting them be them. You're letting them define their goal, and you're helping them to make an informed decision during this process. And what prompted you to sell your home right now if you're working with a seller? Same question as if you were asking a buyer. What made you think about buying your home? Well, what made you think about selling your home right now? Sellers are more based in money, and they also are looking at their replacement home as well. But they're wanting to get the most money with the least inconvenience, right? So what prompted you to sell your home? What's your biggest concern if you were selling your home right now? Again, similar questions like you're asking a buyer, but you're wanting them to talk. You're wanting them to define what's getting in their way, any objection hurdles that you're able to answer, okay? If you're not 100% committed to the sale as of yet, what do you need to do to decide on before you can be 100% committed? So if they're not sure they want to sell, you want to make sure you can get at their true motivation. Your job is to understand why they want to be on the market and why now. And if they're not committed, you want to get 100% commitment because you don't want them to have remorse or want to change midstream, okay? You've heard me say this a lot today, which is assume the close. We want to be able to assume the close. What do I mean by that? We always want to make sure that people know that we're working with us, even before they know they're working with us, right? So an assumption of a close or a close language, it's actually a type of professional close. It's the most important part of the process. So there's a multitude of closes that we use professionally, right? That have terms to them. We have what's called a trial close, and a trial close is when things are going well. We want to test the water a little bit. So let me make sure I understand, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. So when we list your house today, you're going to want to make you want $700,000 as a sales price. You want to be able to stay in the property at least 10 days after the property closes. Is that right? Right? You're testing to see where they are. You're trying to determine if there's any other objections that you haven't met yet. Okay? Is what I'm saying that makes sense so far? That's another way of providing a trial close or a test close. Okay? Does a sale price of $800,000 sound like what you're expecting? Again, we talked about money. We're just testing the waters so that we're getting them to do this thing. We're getting them to commit to the yes. There's what's called an invitational close, which is simple and direct. way of asking for business. That's one of those things that we do all the time when we're feeling confident and we've converted our fear energy is if there's no other questions, why not sign the contract tonight? Or is there any reason why we shouldn't go ahead and sign the contract now, right? We talk about an A/B close, and we use this all the time, and it's how we influence choices. It's not whether or not they're going to use your product or service, but how much or which one. You see this type of close, an A/B close, when you go to a retail store. It's not whether you're going to buy the red shirt or the blue shirt, it's how many of each are you going to buy, okay? That's really more of an A/B close. There's what's called a redirect close. Once all of the objections have been satisfied, we redirect and basically create a summary that said, okay, so as long as we're, not putting the home on the market before Saturday, as long as we can get $800,000 price, right? You're summarizing everything that you talked about and then asking for the close. So I know the price is more than you expected, but you did say you love the house, right? That's a way that we can work with a buyer. We redirect. House was 900,000. They wanted to pay 800. I know it's a little bit more than what you said you wanted to, but the house has all of the features and benefits that you were looking for, right? Let's go ahead and sign the contract. Okay. And finally, what we're talking about is the assumptive close, which is it's used in every stage of the sales price. We're always assuming that they're going to work with us. We're always assuming that the information that we're going to provide is what they're looking for. And if not, we're asking additional questions. Statements that we use in an assumptive close or an assumptive process is, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, when we begin to work together, is Saturday a good day for us to go out and preview properties, or is Saturday a day that we can hold open houses if you're working with a seller? Those are assumptive closes. Again, assumptive closes are the things that elicit the yes. Here's some additional examples of an assumptive close. The assumptive close is used in every stage. We talked about that. So when we meet today, I'll go over market conditions and price, okay? That's an assumption. I'm assuming that when we meet today. When we list the home today, that's assuming that they're going to work with us and put the house on the market. You can see the value in listing your home with me, right? Let's get the paperwork out of the way so we can focus on whatever else we need to focus on. Once we list your home, we will aggressively market to whatever demographic or whatever neighborhood conditions that we need to get to, right? But once we list your home, again, that's that statement of assumption. We are already assuming that they're going to work with us, okay? And as we come in summary to this lesson, let's talk a little bit about the 23 most powerful two-letter words. Does anybody know what those are? The 23 most powerful two-letter words. All right, let's review them right now. If it is to be, it is up to me. If it is up to me, it is to be. So be it. Okay? 23 most powerful words. If it is to be, it is up to me. If it is up to me, it is to be. So be it. That's converting that negative to a positive. Every time, negative to a positive, negative to a positive. See the value in everything. Make sure you role play every single day. Never, never, ever, ever practice on a customer. What do I mean by that? When we're unfamiliar with our scripts and dialogues, we tend to practice on our customer base. Never practice on a customer. Role playing every day will absolutely sharpen your skills. So practice with a trusted friend or a colleague or family member. Get a production buddy. Get someone who has similar goals to you to where they'll keep you in line, hold you accountable to the things that you say you want to do. Okay? Any questions? Feel free. Thanks everyone for participating. I'll see you next time.